Everyone's counting on you. You're the only one that can save the world. It's going to take complete dedication, nerves of steel, absolute focus. No, now is not the time to play triple triad. No, you don't need to catch the butterflies. No, get away from legally distinct Michael Jackson. Thanks side quests. They come in a zillion forms, but side quests do have some common threads. Let's take a look at side quest design, how to make a side quest that really hooks you in, and what they do to make them distinct from mainline quests. If you want a great tool to design side quests, or any other project, check out today's episode sponsor, Milanote. Getting a handle on the early stages of game design can be messy. Milanote helps you organize your ideas and share them with your team. It's a super slick tool for creating storyboards and mood boards, keeping visual notes, and throwing ideas around, and keeping it all organized in one place. We made a board while we were making this very episode. It looks great, and it's been a breeze to use. Milanote uses a drag and drop freeform canvas built to let your entire team, designers, programmers, artists, and managers, create boards that help visualize your projects. They even have some great plugin templates made specifically for the workflow of game designers. Milanote has the flexibility and power you need to help you bring your game ideas to life. Milanote is hosting a giveaway just for viewers of DesignDoc. If you're ready to start working on a new game design project in 2021, sign up to Milanote for free using the link in the description below, and 3 lucky winners will be randomly selected to receive Milanote Pro subscriptions for free. Thanks Milanote. You can slice almost any side quest into 3 parts: how it starts, how it goes, and how it ends. There's an action that branches a side quest off from the main quest line, there's something you do within the side quest, and there's usually some way that the side quest connects back to the main story. There are unique opportunities to help create something memorable in each of those phases, so let's break them down. First up is an easy one to overlook: how a side quest starts. Side quests have to branch off from the main line in some way. Coming up with a reason and a mechanism for players to go out of their way is an essential part of making them interested in following through with the side quest. As a general rule, you'll want them to be convenient to start and find, or otherwise feel like a natural part of the game's design. You'll find plenty of convenient side quests in the criminally overlooked CrossCode. CrossCode is a 16-bit action RPG set in a fake MMO, and its quest design borrows heavily from what you'd find in a standard one of those. Lots of basic fetch quests and kill 10 whatevers type stuff. The side quest content itself isn't really anything special, but the game makes it ultra convenient to take them on. You can take a quick jog around any town and pick up a bunch of new side quests by talking to the NPCs you find. As you go adventuring in the field, you'll stumble onto plenty of quest goals without even thinking about it. The side quest rewards are mostly XP and gear, and the purpose of the side quests are to help mitigate the need to grind for levels. Or rather, to make the grind feel just slightly more fun and purposeful by attaching side quest goals to it. You're not locked into completing one at a time, and your menus keep tabs on any special information you need in case you forgot anything. The lack of obstacles and the speed at which you can take on and knock out side quests create a very low barrier to entry. It's kinda soothing, really. It's not revolutionary, but good design doesn't always have to be innovative design. Convenience is a good start, but convenience through low barriers to entry alone can be a little bland. You could instead make the side quests feel like a more natural part of the gameplay. Hollow Knight is all about exploration, and its side quests are given out by the occasional scattered NPC. It's a challenging game, and there's a strong incentive to look everywhere to find any reward that could give you an advantage, or just give you some lore. Finding a side quest NPC itself acts like a little reward for the exploring that the game wants you to do. The side quests don't appear as a checklist. There aren't any signposts telling you this is a side quest. You might not even know if the task is a side quest at all. The presentation helps make it feel like you've actually stumbled upon something interesting, which encourages you to do the task and sink deeper into Hollow Knight's immersive world. CrossCode side quests are convenient, and Hollow Knight weaves seamlessly into the main storyline, but wouldn't it be cool if you did the exact opposite of both of those? No? Too bad. That's Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. The game's terrific, but that's in spite of its side quest design. As soon as you decide to pick up a side quest, the game slows down to a crawl. Almost all of them have to be picked up at the Trouble Center in the central hub town, Rogueport. You could be standing next to the character who put up the request, but you still have to head back to the Trouble Center board. Pick up the note, and then trek all the way back to where they're waiting. Do the backtracking fetch quest in a game without a good fast travel system, then go back to the quest giver to complete it. No, you can't pick up more than one at once. The redundant travel stops the game's flow dead in its tracks, and destroys the motivation to do any of the side quests. At least the ones without some really outstanding rewards. Great, so you've picked up a side quest, but now that it's on your list, what are you supposed to do anyway? What makes a good side quest? Obviously, there's a massive range of things you could have your players do, anything from pick up 5 colored frogs to take out this big old mountain turtle. But most side quest types break down into just a handful of categories: story-driven, variety-driven, elaboration-driven, and challenge-driven. Each one focuses on a different facet of a game. Each type has its strong suits and unique potential problems, and has its own reason for being a side quest rather than part of the main game. A great side story is a perfect core for a side quest in any game with a strong narrative focus. If your players are already invested in the game's story, they'll want every detail they can get. Maybe it fleshes out some side characters or shines a light on subtle elements of the world that didn't quite fit into the main plotline. It could even contribute to the main story later on, through added context, or if a character does something different because you took the time to do their side quest. Mass Effect 2 has loads of great optional side content through its loyalty missions. Each is unique, and they all give the game's side characters a chance to truly shine. While there's some mandatory missions that push the main plot along and introduce key characters, a large chunk of Mass Effect 2's most interesting missions are these isolated storylines that you can pick and choose as you like. Each can be viewed as a good episode of Star Trek that focuses on fleshing out both the secondary characters and the universe. But when a developer goes all out on top tier storytelling, it makes you wonder why they made it optional. In Mass Effect's case, it serves two purposes. First, it lets the player pick and choose what content they want to see. Instead of focusing for a couple of hours on a character the player might not care about, the players can tailor their experience. Are Jacob and Zaid too bland for you? Just skip their loyalty missions. You're not going to be able to account for everyone's personal preferences, so letting people choose what they want to see helps satisfy more players in the end. Second, the missions are also deeply tied to outcomes in the main storyline, but we'll get into that a little later. If you're not in the mood for a big story revelation, you could make your side quest more variety driven. Throw a curveball in the normal game and give the players something weird. The Yakuza series has a vast range of activities. From game to game, the core gameplay doesn't change all that much, until recently, and the environments are often recycled, with some new additions here and there. But that lets them put a ton of work into the side quests. The side content is wildly different, even within a single entry in the series, and the streets of Kamurocho are dense with things to do around every corner. Minigames, elaborate fetch quests, ridiculous event battles, and the shockingly deep management sims all give a breather from the usual gameplay routine. You'll often get a little mandatory sample, especially for the more involved side quest types, but the game lets you pick how deep you want to get into each of them afterward. If the high stakes plot becomes too much, you can take a break with some Mahjong. Head over to the Sega arcade for some Virtua Fighter or Outrun, or you can take a crack at running a hostess club or a candy company. If that's not enough, you can compete in a literal full-blown kart racing league against a bunch of costume weirdos. Take a job as a town's orange-head mascot and win the local kids' hearts and minds. Try to corner the local real estate market until you catch the wrathful eye of the Leisure King. The side content in Yakuza is so different from what the game makes you do that you go seek it out for the spectacle and as a palate cleanser. The time and loving attention each side quest gets makes the trip out of your way completely worth it. Side quests don't have to contain completely new mechanics though. Some side quests elaborate on pre-existing mechanics. They might highlight a different train of thought or an exciting combination of systems that the normal game might not explore. Especially tricky system combos tend to fit great in side quests. Thinking through all the existing systems possibilities might turn out to be the high point of the game for players who sought out those side quests, while not punishing other players who might not totally wrap their head around it. Majora's Mask is a fairly short game by Zelda standards. There are only 4 main dungeons to complete in the main story, and they don't work with the game's 72-hour-long Groundhog Day structure all that deeply. The side quests are the bulk of the game's content, and they play off the game's structure much more thoroughly. In each cycle, there are a ton of scripted routines and events that happen across Termina. Many of the side quests involve observing these patterns and planning out what to do in a sort of elaborate time-based puzzle. You have to be at the right place at the right time with the right plan to complete the tasks, and you're given a surprising amount of freedom to pick and choose which ones you pursue. The time-sensitive structure even makes repeat playthroughs more interesting. You could try to plan things out to finish as many side quests as you can within a single 3-day cycle. The game gives you management tools like the Bomber's Notebook to help keep track of everyone's schedule, and the Song of Time to help you manipulate the clock by either resetting the cycle, slowing down the flow of time, or skipping ahead to specific points. The system is a little fiddly, and some of the side quests are a chore even with these tools. But the side quest mechanics expand on the game's premise in a way that you can interact with as much as you choose to. But what if your game's mechanics don't lend themselves to deep variations? There's one more trick you can use, and it might be the most straightforward of them all. Just take your base game and crank up the challenge. For players that take on challenge-driven side quests, overcoming the mountain is the draw. Keeping it as side quest lets you block off massive difficulty spikes behind a velvet rope that won't keep players from getting to the end of the game. This shows up all over JRPGs. Optional super bosses and the occasional secret dungeon fit this section to a T, and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix does them both. The Cavern of Remembrance and the Garden of Assemblage give a polished challenge that demands great execution of the game's mechanics. The Cavern is a mix of challenging platforming and mob fights that force you to use the extra movement abilities like the high jump and glide that aren't as necessary in the main game and hint at the difficult bosses ahead. The rematches against every member of Organization 13 will wipe the floor with you unless you come fully prepared. They probably will still get you the first couple of times anyway. These endgame challenges go well above and beyond what you're asked to do in the main game. Any individual fight would be far too frustrating if it were an average encounter, or even if it was the final boss. To block off the story's resolution because you just can't execute well enough, or don't feel like charting out exactly how to maximize damage, is a recipe for a lot of people to quit the game in frustration. But a side quest super boss is a fantastic reward for really, fully understanding what the game lets you do. The fights are a great test and a badge of accomplishment. Without that test, the depth of the system might go to waste as unneeded and unappreciated. So now you've started a side quest and done something in it. All that's left is to stick the landing. How do you make the end of a side quest satisfying? What goes into making a good enough reward to make the time feel well spent, and to give even more incentive to do other side quests? Just like in the last section, it depends on what you're going for. The best rewards are tailored to the strengths of your main game. The most straightforward approach is to give out loot and other upgrades. The side quest rewards can supplement your existing progression system and help jump people ahead of the curve or keep them from falling behind. FTL's whole structure is built on gaining loot from optional quests and events. What ones you take on and the quality of the rewards you get can make or break a run. As you trek through each star system, the riskier moves and more elaborate challenges you take on might get you better weapons, more fuel, or new crew members, all of which will help you stay alive for longer. But don't save the very best stuff for last. Especially in challenge-driven side quests, hiding the best loot behind the hardest challenges can counterintuitively be a mistake. If there isn't anything left to use your new stuff on, it'll undercut the reward's impact, which might have been more enticing if it was placed somewhere else. For story-driven games, if the story you told in the side quest ties back into the main game, that's a pretty compelling reason to keep finding more side quests to do. Some of the best story bits that inform the main storyline in Mass Effect 2 are locked in the loyalty missions. Confronting Mordin about the ethics of the Krogan genophage, helping Thane stop his son from becoming an assassin, posing as a hipster to lure out and deal with Samara's dangerous daughter. These stories alone make these optional missions worth doing, but the way that they have a big impact on how the ending can play out, among lots of other rewards, is just icing on the cake. Now, aside from gear and stories, you could just give out cool stuff. There's not much rhyme or reason to this, just make something cool happen. Cosmetic items are nice options, or maybe something cool happens in the game world itself. Breath of the Wild is technically 99% side quests, but what the game actually labels as side quests are pretty basic in their construction. Tarrytown, though, has a lot going on. You help build a town slowly from the ground up by providing resources and gathering different people together. It's meant to be something you do slowly over the course of your playthrough. Watching the town grow as it gains citizens and special shops is very satisfying. Even the town's music evolves over time with new instruments as you get new people. It's a bunch of little rewards that work both narratively and mechanically to make you feel like you've had a direct impact on how the town has flourished. Of course, even though we've talked about side quests as being made up of stages, no side quest is an island. To have a truly great set of them, you'll need to nail all aspects of them at once, and I think Bug Fables does a wonderful job of it. Bug Fables has over 50 side quests, and nearly every one of them is well worth the effort. They deliver in every element that a good side quest needs to be worth the detour. The devs made initiating them super convenient. You can pick up as many as you want from a quest board as soon as they're available. Backtracking issues are kept to a minimum thanks to well-placed shortcuts and fast travel options. You aren't flooded with a bunch of contextless generic ones either. They're doled out gradually as you go from chapter to chapter. The side quests have fun stories that make the world and characters more lively. There's a good variety of mini-games, like an elaborate card game questline. There are plenty of challenging optional bosses and over a half dozen super bosses that demand you bring your A game and experiment with your character builds for a winning strategy. There are even a couple of full-blown optional dungeons, one of which is complete with a major plot reveal that you can just skip entirely. It's a side of the game's narrative that you might not have seen otherwise, and that makes the side quests just that much more special. The quantity and quality of these side quests is so high that it's easy to spend hours between story chapters to complete these things. It's very easy to fall into a chain of them, finishing one and finding the next one just around the corner, where you might not make any progress in the main story for hours, and be happy for it. The rewards are plenty and give powerful bonuses and ability boosts that will help you tackle the main story. The game is difficult enough that you will feel thankful for the time you spent getting geared up. The side quests support every aspect of Bug Fables, and are worth emulating for any game that wants to make their own great ones. So that's a quick rundown of the basics on how to elevate your side quests. Yes, I didn't talk about the great ones in The Witcher 3 or Fallout. You can fix my oversight by talking about your favorite side quests down in the comments. By tailoring each phase of a side quest to your game's focus, you can turn a detour into the scenic route.